morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, and it's a time for inspiration for today. And boy, we're in a great chapter and chapters here as we end the study in the book of Revelation. And yesterday we started our walk through our new ultimate eternal home. And that'd be in the New Jerusalem as it came down from heaven right to earth, and all things here on earth are renewed and made right again. And you'll see things like happened in the Garden of Eden in these last two chapters, because that's about what it's going to be like. Perfect. Now, we finished through verse 16 yesterday, and that was showing how massive this New Jerusalem is. 1,400 miles cubed, length, width, and height. So there's plenty of room for all of us, isn't there? Well, as we continue on through the rest of chapter 21, we're going to see that John gives more descriptions of this place, and in some great detail. So he knows what he's seeing. Verse 18, he starts talking about the walls that are surrounding this city. The wall, verse 18, the wall was made of jasper, and the city of pure gold, as pure as glass. Wow. Can you imagine all that gold? I think it's the gold of the world will have to be there to do that. The foundations of the city walls decorated in every kind of precious stones. And then he starts to talk about them. I don't know that much about stones, but I'm sure some of you do. And it's going to evidently be beautiful. The foundation was of jasper, and then he goes on and on and on. I like verse 21, where he says, the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Each gate was made of a single pearl. Wow. Can you imagine how big those pearls are going to be? Man, phenomenal. The great street of the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. And let me encourage you, I've mentioned it before, but you watch for that word like. And when it's not there, then the thing that John and this narrative are describing are that thing. Because he often uses the word like when he just can't describe it in any other way. And in this case, like transparent glass. He's trying to help us picture what it's going to be like to see that a city is made of gold. And because you and I have no such experience, do we? No, we don't. So always watch for that word like as you're reading through Revelation. Now, verse 22, he starts to get into detail about something else that it should be obvious, really, but he gives it to us. Verse 22, I did not see a temple in the city, because the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. Why was there a temple in the first place? Well, there were several reasons, of course, but one of the main ones was to offer sacrifices, and those sacrifices were for forgiveness of sins, but they were more importantly a forerunner, a predictor that ultimately Jesus would come and be the sacrifice for the sins of the whole world. Now, clearly, there was no more need for sacrifices, and so there is no more temple. The other thing, it didn't need a temple, but it also doesn't need something else. Verse 23. The city does not need the sun or the moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it its light, and the Lamb is its lamp. Can you imagine so much radiance coming from God and Jesus that there is no need for the sun? Now notice it doesn't say that the sun is destroyed. We're talking about inside this massive, massive city that God is its radiance for. So, and there's another indicator as we get in, I think it's tomorrow, that the sun still exists. And so we'll come to that in our passage for tomorrow. But clearly it does say the city does not need the sun or moon to shine. The glory of God. The glory of God. That's a lot of glory, isn't it? It never will fade either. Verse 24, the nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their splendor into it. On no day, note that, on no day will its gates ever be shut, for there's no night there. The glory and honor of the nations will be brought into it. Nothing impure will enter into that city. Of course it won't. There's nothing impure in heaven. We're living sinless lives at that time. It's so hard for us to picture all this, isn't it? But I just prayerfully consider, I encourage you, read this over. This is how life is going to be in the New Jerusalem. But in fact, just to finish, nor will anyone who does what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life. That's an interesting thing right there. The book of life is mentioned 6 times in Revelation, in case you've been counting. This is the only time that it's called the Lamb's book of life. I don't have any answer to that, why, but it's how it is. It's Jesus has put your name in his book of life, if you are a follower of him. And we've got to make sure that that's true. Now, there's another factor in here that I just want to point out. I've heard people say, well, we're just going to live in the one city, even though it's 1,400 miles cubed. Is that where we live and our being is just in there? Well, I would point out to you that it says right there, on no day will its gates ever be shut. Those great pearls that are the gates are never going to be shut. And when you have a gate, what does that imply? It implies that people go in and they go out. So we'll be leaving the city. We're not locked in or something. In fact, assuming that we are here on earth, as we talked about several times in recent shows, that is the evidence. When we go out of that gate, you can explore the whole earth. In fact, if that's not what happens, if we're on some other earth that he creates, then you can explore that. Now, I like to travel, and by the way, at the end of this week, starting next week, Diane and I are going on the road for a few weeks, and we're visiting Texas. And we can't wait to take you along with us. I've already got some amazing things planned, and you've commented that you enjoy when we hit the road. Well, we are going to hit the road next week. We like to travel, and I know most of you do also. Well, in heaven, you're going to get to travel, and travel first class, I might add. Why? Because there's no poor service, there's no sinful things happening around you. It's going to be wonderful. But most of all, things are going to be so beautiful. Without the contamination of sin on this earth, you and I, our minds can't even picture it. It's going to be beyond belief. There are places I love, places that are beautiful, but nothing like you and I are going to see. But if there are things that you never got to see in this lifetime that we can go see, hey, I want to go see Victoria Falls. I want to go see lots of things. We're going to have time to do it in eternity. God is so good. God is so good. We are going to have, our future is so blessed. Well, we're going to finish the last chapter. We go into 22 tomorrow. I hope you won't miss that. There's some eye-opening things there too. Hey, see you then. God bless. Have a great day in the Lord.
Beautiful day. It's wonderful. This is the day that the